You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the next big thing, the latest up-and-coming sports journalist, your host, Nathan Snell.
This is what's great about sports. This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is episode 20, season 17 of the podcast. In this episode, you guessed it, we're talking about the Washington Commanders versus San Francisco 49ers. We're previewing the game, but before we get into it, there's a few things I want to say up front. Episodes 18 and 19 have been recorded and they will be up. This episode will be, once it's finished recording, it will also be uploaded via Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The year review will be recorded tomorrow. We will be recapping this game along with the Ravens game, as also we'll talk about Maryland basketball in season 18. Please take a listen to season 18 as we have many updates. We'll also put an announcement on the channel. But let's just get right into it. Washington Commanders. The season is almost at its end. Going on the road in facing, well, we were home, after losing on the road to the Jets. Last two games were at home, facing the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco 49ers are coming off a loss Monday night to the Baltimore Ravens. I expect this to be a revenge, a game where they're going to take their frustrations out on Washington. Brock Purdy in the last game threw 4 interceptions. Sam Darnold threw an interception. A little bit about San Francisco. They're a great team, but that's something they have to go through Dallas and or Philadelphia to get to the Super Bowl. San Fran is a team that can get a little too trigger happy when it comes to penalties. They've got talent, but sometimes they can be their own worst enemy. Last week, they were called on 10 against Baltimore, were called on 10 different penalties. And that cost them a count of 102 yards of penalties of yards and penalties allowed. Especially against a team like Baltimore. That was game-changing and ultimately cost them the game. while I can't speak for what that may be for Washington, I'm curious to see how that can benefit Washington. They are San Francisco is the most penalized team in the league. They almost average 6 penalties a game. They've given up more than almost 55 yards per penalty per game. Washington will need to take advantage of a couple things. We need some lucky breaks, and I think we need to come out aggressive. Now, biggest thing that stood out looking at the injury report, San Francisco will not have Eric Armstead, Jahir Brown, Ross Dwelly, Jawan Jennings, and Jalen Moore. All are out. They have their guard, Aaron Banks, Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, Danny Gray, Jordan Mason, and Ambry Thomas are all questionable. For Washington, Jacoby Brissett is questionable to play with a hamstring. We brought up Jake Fromm as a backup if needed. And then Andrew Wiley is also questionable with an elbow injury. We don't have Percy Butler. We don't have Kendall Fuller, Tyler Lawson, Charles Leno, and Brandon St. Juste. Already, I already smell the foolishness. I think there's something you need to pay attention to. It's the injuries on both sides of the ball, especially to San Francisco's offensive line, especially that Sunday game. When Trent Williams went out, he sustained a groin injury in that third quarter. Still don't know what his status is. And then their backup, Jalen Moore, suffered a concussion. And pretty much they didn't have anyone to protect Brock's blindside. And then their guard, toe injury. So I think that this should give Washington defensively more of an edge to contain their scoring production. So I'm curious to see how we'll take advantage of the injuries. For me, containing an MVP candidate in Christian McCaffrey, containing him. Again, I just think he is just a dynamic player who, when it doesn't matter if he's running or coming out the backfield and with the pass, Washington, even though they had a good, decent week of practice, it's going to take more than that. It's going to be covering him and adjusting to their offensive plays. That's going to be crucial. And I think that's going to be key. And then obviously the guy that we traded, our former number 1 overall pick in Chase Young, is coming back to FedEx Field. He, to me, playing on the other side, Nick Bosa, I think he's been proving himself. It was a high risk reward. He's familiar with our playing style, so we need to adjust to that. I think he was. I'm just curious to see how he'll look against us, personally. And for me, both teams are all fresh off a loss, so I feel like you're at home. Washington should be, to me, come out and be ready. To me, the key is Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne. They've combined for 9.5 sacks, 58 tackles, and 30 quarterback hits so far this season. I'm curious to see how they'll get to the quarterback. For me, I really, really think containing Christian McCaffrey is key. Our offense is going to be key. I can't stress that how I think Jacoby Brissett will do fine, but it wouldn't faze me if we came out struggling a little bit, because I think, again, watching that offensive line this season when it comes to protecting the quarterback has not been the best. We've struggled to sustain offense continuity, and we've been held to almost 5 yards per play. Our offense on third downs has been the story the entire season. We're currently 22nd with converting damn near at 35.5%, if I remember that stat correctly. Our red zone offense is good, but we haven't been really effective running the ball. It's ironically, I mean, again, the Eric Bieniemy's system is more of a passing first option. And it's interesting, they're still in the top 10 in yards per carry. And I don't think through the air they've been quite as effective. I think even with Sam starting, even Jacoby out there as well. But I think that I'm just curious to see how this pass heavy offense is going to look against a defense that, to me, stellar, even with injuries. Defensively, we really are going to have to dig deep. We're allowing almost 30 points per game, which is dead last in the league. We held New York and Los Angeles, the Rams, under 30 points. I'll take that. But it's going to be a difficult task to contain Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, and Christian McCaffrey. And you know, it'll be key for our pass rush to do something. And I think especially, our linebackers, and even, you know, sending some corner blitzes, especially against a dynamic offense that San Francisco can be. I really feel as though for me, I don't want to come across as saying this is going to be a one-sided game, but I think if you're Washington, I think you've got to come out a little. You got to kind of come out aggressive. I think they can. I mean, at this point, we can just play spoiler. I just think, again, just kind of looking at everything, you know, how things kind of stacked up. I think we picked probably the worst time to run into this San Francisco team. Again, coming off their worst offensive performance. I mean, and I think they're still playing more. And again, they're playing for playoff positioning. So I expect San Francisco to make amends for how they played. But if you're going to be San Francisco, you've got to get to Brock Purdy, and I'm hoping that we can do that. I'm just curious to be a little bit more conservative on offense, more checkdowns than going for the home run. But I'm going to keep it real. I don't expect us to really keep up with them. I really think Washington will lose this game by double digits. I think Washington can put 17 on the board. I mean, at this point in the season, it's just playing for pride, playing for your job, playing for, you know, whatever's going to happen next year. And I didn't appreciate Ron, once again, Riverboat Ron, just sticking his foot being in his mouth. When you come out now after the man gets benched talking to Sam Howell, well, we just didn't help him early. Well, why now? Why didn't you say that when you lost the previous game? I don't know. It doesn't help the man's confidence now when you come out. I mean, like, did Sam Howell have a great game against the Jets? No. But again, At this point, his confidence is shaken, and I said in the last video he shouldn't be out there starting. Let Jacoby. I'll even let Jake Fromm start. And I felt as though, I mean, at this point, I don't have confidence in them to really do much in this game. Like I said, I expect it to be 37-17.
Guaranteed.
I'm sorry. I don't see it. And like, unless we're going to be aggressive and just go for the home run. I mean, they played flat in the first half against New York. And if you do that against a team like San Francisco, it's a wrap. So if they can push the ball through the air aggressively, I think Washington could put 17 points on them. But I defensively, I don't trust them. The stats back it up. And again, we got to generate turnovers. I can see Washington forcing at least 2 turnovers. I could see that, but for me, just the secondary, just been known to get beat over the top. I'm sorry, I can't. I can't. So I already don't know what to expect. Now, if Jacoby's not ready to play, Sam will be starting. And this also could be a redemption game for him. I know for the most part, like I said, he's kind of been taking a brunt of the criticism for the failures of Washington this season. And in my personal opinion, I don't think that's fair. But I just expect these guys to just go out there and just give me max effort. That's all I can ask for. And again, I don't want to make it seem like it'll be a blowout, but I think Washington can put 17 points, as I stated, on the board. I don't think it's going to be like 55-3. It's not going to be like that. I think Washington, they're not going to let that happen. And again, with San Francisco's injuries, I don't think they're going to be I don't think they're going to be quite as effective, even with the injuries. Because again, we don't know if Trent Williams will play tomorrow, and it has been the backups out. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they look. So that's really my preview for the game. Should be interesting. So the great late Al Davis once said, just win, baby. Just win. So let's get into one final thought.
Thoughts are running through my mind. So I took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
Look, these last 2 home games, I think it's something about playing at home, and I think he's got to finish the season strong. That's all I'm gonna say. This has just been a tough season. It's been ugly. It's been at times an eyesore. I think there are some things positively you can take away from this season, but it's all a foregone conclusion. This team will be in rebuilding mode after this season. I've seen some other podcasts and shows already kind of looking towards the future. For me, the season's not over. There's still football to be played. For me personally, this is just basically you're just putting tape out there for coaches, for players, and hey, just go out there and give max effort. That's all I can add. That's all you can ask for. And again, at this point we can play spoiler. I don't think, like I said, San Francisco, I'm not going to go as far as saying they've been exposed. I just don't think you'll have the same. They're not going to have the same performance they had against the Baltimore Ravens. And, the Commanders, I mean, they did all the right things. And in the second half, they had a great comeback. But, Washington was its own self-inflicted wounds and the clock management. Not running the ball instead of passing it 3 straight times. Well, excuse me, running it 3 straight times and not trusting your offense to finish the game, trusting your defense. I've seen little to no improvement on the secondary. I mean, we did create couple turnovers in that game, but I'm not expecting much in this game. I know some people are going to look at me like, that's all you're going to talk about. I mean, at this point, season's over. So that's pretty much it for my one final thought. That's going to conclude, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports. I'm sorry. But I like to say, what else do y'all want me to say? I can give them as much confidence as I can, but to see how they've looked the last few weeks and just kind of at this point in the season, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Some of these games I've had to turn off, and it's just I'm ready for the off season at this point. I really am. So be tuned in for future episodes. Please like, comment, and subscribe for our future content. I'm gonna catch you on the flip side. Y'all have a good night. Peace. Stay up.
Say what's wrong or right. No. It's not hard to fool me. No. 'Cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yes. Yeah. Lead the way. I follow. No need to say. No. Where we are heading now, babe. I follow.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the next big thing, the next up-and-coming sports journalist, Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
I want to thank you, yeah. I want to thank you. Ooh. For all the times you put up with me. Thank you. And you helped me retain my sanity. Thank you. I want to thank you. And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you for everything you do.